Welcome, families. This is our recording for our Family Teacher Feedback Day in lieu of our spring conferences. This session has been recorded to share with you, our Gunston community. In this session, I will go over what things we have already covered in the course and to looking at things that we will need to cover. Also, I'll look at Canvas and I'll give you my contact information if you don't already have it. Now I'll go to my Canvas page to share with you the things that we've already covered. Here on the Canvas page, you'll see we've covered units 1 through 6, and now we're on unit 8. You may be asking the same thing students ask, well, what happened to unit 7? I skipped over unit 7, that will come at the end here. I grouped together all of our triangle units, so we continue with triangles since about, I think we started in about November, and we're still working on all of those properties of triangles. And then we'll do the quadrilaterals after we're done with right triangles. As you can see, we're more than halfway through. Even though we're a little more than halfway through the school year, we have about 4, really 5 more units to cover. The last 2 units are very short. These are things students already know, so this is more of a review. But we do need to cover quadrilaterals, circles, and constructions. And that's something that will come toward the end of 3rd quarter into the beginning of 4th quarter. And then we have our SOL review. And it is expected that students do take the SOL this year, so I am hoping everyone does sign up to take. I'm pretty confident that everyone will pass. It's just a matter of how high of a score they're looking for. But the objective is for me to teach to make sure everyone is prepared for our SOL. So this is what we've done so far. We have all of those units that we have covered. And where we are right now in looking at our calendar for March, you'll see we started the month here, even though it's the end of February, we are still working on our right triangles. We're looking at special right triangles, and we have our conference day, Friday the 4th, and a quiz on Monday, March 7th, which will be a tough one. So students really need to make sure they are prepared and studying for this quiz. Then we have our project we're going to start on Wednesday. And students need to bring in a poster board the size of 22 inches by 28 inches to construct or to draw out different right triangles to create some type of spiral. And I'll go over those directions on Wednesday, March 9th. And then we'll start the project probably more on Thursday. But as we're working on this project, we also will be learning new information. So we'll have 2 things happening in each one of our class periods. We'll have about 10 to 15 minutes as a lesson, and then the rest of the time will be spent working on the project. I'll have a few samples of those projects in just a moment, but I want you to also see that we will have SOL writing tests that are coming up on the 22nd and the 24th. I wanted to wait for those dates before putting in the date that our tests would be due. I know the project is due on the 28th. I need to type that in our calendar so students know that the project, once they start, they will have about 3 weeks to work on that project. It will be due on March 28th. And then we'll have a unit test around that same time. Maybe we'll have a test on the 28th or maybe on the 31st. I think the 31st sounds like a better date since they will have the writing SOL the week before. So now to look at a few examples of our project. This is the basic understanding of the project. And now here are some examples where students have taken the spiral and turned it into some other design. There was a little bit of research in looking at things in nature and seeing how this spiral comes about in other ways. And students use their creativity to come up with some design that they can draw out. It's not necessary that they need to draw everything perfectly, but just to have enough of an image there where we can figure out or can see um, what their idea was in drawing out the image on top of the spiral. Now to look at just some other things, keep in mind, parents, you can work with your student just to make sure they're keeping up with the assignments. We're noticing a large number of students not completing the formative assessments because they're noticing the impact, the non-impact on their grades. So some students are not completing these formative assessments. As you look at a student's grades, this is my test student, just to see what it looks like when we go into the assignments. If you click on grades in Canvas, it will show a listing of all of the assignments for that quarter. It will have the indication of either it is missing, if it has been submitted, if it was complete or incomplete. The X here means that that was something that was not submitted, or it was something that was incomplete and no credit is given for that assignment. Students have the option of turning in things late. There should not be any penalty for late assignments. When we take our assessments, our summative assessments, well, those we have some type of numerical value because this is graded here in Canvas, and students should see some score. If this score is not above a 90% where they are showing mastery, then I suggest that they always retake the assessment just to show mastery of those skills. And the retake can be done two ways. I usually will have another version of the test and they go through and they'll do the ones that they miss. I'll have a different version of that question, so they won't do the same question that they missed, but they will do one that's very similar to it. Or if it is something that is a little shorter, I give them another attempt to retake the test right here within Canvas. So those are the two options. But in order to retake one of our assessments, the assignments that came before, all of those assignments do need to be completed. If a student completes the assignment, then they should be prepared for the summative assessment. But if I see that they did not show mastery of those topics, it's possible they didn't show mastery because they did not get appropriate practice from those assignments that may be missing. So when students need to retake a summative assessment, I do require that they do complete the formative assessments to prepare for that retake. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free in contacting me. I've spoken to students several times just to let them know my office hours are purple days during lunch. Those are the days that we actually have class, and Tuesdays after school. I usually like to stay PM1, but if it is necessary, I can stay both PM1 and PM2, which means I can stay up until 4 p.m. And again, any questions, concerns, please feel free in contacting me.